back to another episode of my so-called Xennial life. We are going to talk about forgotten shows in this episode. Since the beginning of television, you always had these shows that might have been forgotten. For every Mary Tyler Moore and the Golden Girls and Cheers that people remember very fondly, there's stuff like The Hogan Family and 30-something that people just generally it's not like it's been forgotten. It's just more like it's exited from the cultural lexicon. Now, sometimes these shows have been forgotten because they were canceled really quickly. I mean, I know there's been shows out there that have only lasted like 1 or 2 episodes before they were canceled. There was one show, I don't remember the name of it, but I know Chris O'Donnell was in it. I think it wasn't that old, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. And it was like only 2 or 3 episodes before it got canceled. So those are forgotten for a whole nother reason, you know. So on this particular episode, I'm going to talk about a forgotten show that I actually remember quite well called Nearly Departed.
Everyone lately is making me crazy now that we've joined the deceased. There'll be no resting in peace, nearly departed. Stumbling cockeyed the moment that rockslide came tumbling down on our head. Maybe we're better off dead, nearly departed. It's hard to ignore when a family of 4 is running amok in our home. They're constantly near us, they can't see or hear us, nobody can, except the old man, just pushing up daisies. We're halfway to Hades and halfway to heaven above. Nothing like being in love, dear, nearly departed.
Now, Nearly Departed is, according to good old Wikipedia, is an American sitcom that aired on NBC on Monday night from April 10th, 1989 to May 1st, 1989. So it was very short-lived. According to this, there were 6 episodes created, but only 4 of them aired. I would have sworn it was like 5 episodes. Now, maybe I happened to catch a 5th episode because I do think they did show those other episodes in other parts, like in Canada and maybe Britain or something. But I would have sworn I saw 5 of them. But thinking about it, I don't remember the 5th or 6th episode at all, but I do remember the first 4 episodes. Now, the premise is simple. It's about a couple who die in a car accident, and they are now ghosts in a house, and a whole new family moves in. Nobody can see them except for an older guy, Grandpa. He, for somehow, can see them. They never really explained it. They think maybe because he might have been he was an older person, so maybe that's why he was able to see these ghosts. And that's where a lot of the humor comes in. Now, being back in 1989, I would have been 10, and I was very much getting into horror and supernatural and ghosts and fantasy stuff, so a TV show about ghosts would have been very appealing to me. Now, being 10, I actually remembered finding the show quite funny. I really enjoyed watching the show, and when I remembered it, I didn't know it was canceled when I was 10. I just thought it sometimes they have breaks, and then I'm not finding out. I was like, oh, the show hasn't come back on. I guess it's gone. And that's what happened. It was gone. And I remember the show being very funny. They had the 2 characters, the ghost characters, Grant and Claire, and Grandpa Jack. Of course, I am looking because I don't quite remember the names. But I remember there was a few funny scenes. There was the DMV scene where Grant, the ghost, was trying to tell Grandpa what the letters were on, those eye test things.
Hold on.
Anytime.
E. D. No, E. E.
Oh, E, not D. Okay.
T. Y. X. R.
read the 7th line on the chart.
7th line on the chart.
Mr. Garrett, this is not a hearing test.
K. Q. U. V. W.
That was real good.
Oh, that was nothing. You want me to read the rest of them?
Another scene that I remembered quite well, because I thought it was funny, was when Grandpa was at a bus station. I think he was leaving, because if I remember right, he got into a fight with the family, and some punk stole something. I believe it was a suitcase, and the punk went into a phone booth. Remember those phone booths? You don't have those anymore. I think the ones I've seen anywhere are like historic landmarks. But anyway, Ghost Grant traps that guy in the phone booth and does some like crazy stuff with fog on the window and created like a smiley face and stuff like that. I thought it was funny as a 10-year-old. Now as an adult, it's not unfunny, but I wouldn't say it was hilarious.
Now, Grant, don't hurt him.
Relax, we're just having fun. Claire, submitted for your approval. A punk in a lonely bus station steps into what looks like a phone booth. But what he doesn't know is he has just stepped into the Twilight Zone. He hangs up, tries the door. It won't open. Strange. Almost as if someone's holding it. When he looks out, there's nobody there. Suddenly, the glass fogs up. A happy face appears. The punk is confused, almost panicked. He screams.
Come on out of there, shortstop. I'll clean your clock for you. Come on, let's you and me mix it up.
Grandpa, if you're not out of this bus station in 5 seconds, I'm letting him go.
But I remembered my parents recording all those 4 episodes that did air on VHS, one of those VHS tapes, and that, again, are no longer seen. Of course, those VHS tapes got ruined long ago. One thing about VHS tapes is if you keep them in certain areas, mold can grow on them and very susceptible to moisture and stuff like that. So those 4 episodes that we had recorded are long gone. But luckily, you can still watch them on YouTube. And I actually did see a couple of the first 2 episodes again. Brought back a lot of memories. Some of the humor, I'm not quite sure if you can get away today with this PC wokeism that's going on. There's definitely some stuff that can be, I guess, could be kind of like creepy sexual, especially with Ghost Grant.
Mike, I'm taking a shower. I hope you left some hot water. Well, if you don't want to take a walk, Grant, what do you want to do?
I think so.
What did you say?
I think whatever you said is fine by me.
Mike, you said you didn't want to be late for work today. Grant, how about a movie? Grant? Grant, did you hear me? Grant, where are you?
I was just getting some steam on my shoulder. the old cricket injury is acting up again.
You know, so I don't know if that would fly today, but to be fair, if I was a ghost, if I'm a ghost, I'm spying on all y'all. I'm gonna see what kind of naughty things you're doing in the bedroom and in the shower. But I'm a ghost, and so I can do that. I'm allowed. But looking back at it retroly, I do believe probably the reason why the show failed was because they did not have Eric Idle do a lot of the jokes. I think that was a horrendous mistake. So having said that, you can get all 7, I can count. You can get all 6 episodes on YouTube if you want to see them. I actually have kept them myself, and so if I ever wanted to watch them again, it would be a lot of fun to do. So yeah, there's a lot of those type of shows, and I'm gonna do more of them. But I figured I talk about this one. Kind of nice remembering this show, and even before looking it up again on YouTube, I remembered the show quite well and often wondered what happened to it and stuff like that. And so looking for some of the research, it was a little bit interesting discovering why the show failed. I mean, really, not having Eric Idle do any of the jokes was just horrific. So I think maybe when people, knowing the humor from Monty Python and everything like that, seeing that the humor didn't match up to what Eric Idle is known for, I think people just tuned out. But 10-year-old me had no problem with it because while I was aware of Monty Python, I don't remember seeing Monty Python until I was much older. But it's also, this will be the last episode for at least another couple weeks because I am heading off to England to see Andrew. I haven't seen him in close to 4 years, ever since the pandemic. I am leaving on the 17th. Well, sorry, no. I'm getting to England on the 17th, and to get there on the 17th, I have to leave on the 16th because there's a time difference. Technically, I'm time traveling in a way. So I'm looking forward to there, and I'm going to be there for almost 2.5 weeks, so there won't be any new shows, my so-called Xennial life shows for a bit, but I think that's okay. You know, this is just meant to be fun. I'm kind of like reliving stuff, and I'm hoping for what few people do watch it. I'm not getting massive amount of views, and that's okay. I hope I am bringing back memories for other people when, you know, whether it's Maury, Dink the Dinosaur, and now Nearly Departed. So do any of you remember Nearly Departed, or are there any shows out there that barely lasted 5, 6, 7 episodes or barely a season that you remember quite fondly? If so, respond in the comments. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share, and tune in next time, which will probably be in July, for the next episode of my so-called Xennial life. Till then, take care, or as they say in Britain, jolly ho.